We're here in this special session primarily because we ended our regular session without agreement on the executive branch budget. And since the end of our session in mid-April, myself, along with you, Mr. Speaker, and members of House leadership, and with the consultation of our subcommittee chairs and many members of this body, have been working diligently over the past few weeks to get to this point. Most of you know this House voted overwhelmingly to support a jobs creation component of our budget bill, Kentucky Jobs for Kentucky Families. A large component of that dealt with the building of Category 4 and Category 5 schools. We now know that we cannot reach agreement on the construction of all of those schools. And in looking at the governor's budget that he, or his recommendation that he sent to us, and although it included Category 5 schools, it did not include an adequate funding formula to build all of the category schools. And therefore, we're going to recommend at this point that none of these schools be included in this plan, but at the same time, we're going to take some of the savings from that equalization and put it into a study that we will do in the Legislative Research Commission that will be controlled and handled, and a request for proposal will be issued through the Legislative Research Commission, because much of the problem we had with the Category 5 and 4 schools was the confidence we had in those plans.
Our young people are at risk in these Category 5 schools and in some Category 4 schools. Now, a study may be what we need, but personally, in the area I represent, we don't need any more studies, we need action. I have young people going to school in a building that has asbestos in it, has bats flying around, is dangerous for them to be there. Teachers have to teach in long coats in the winter because the heat is not adequate enough. It's a terrible situation. This budget also doesn't go far enough as far as education goes in general.
We had a good budget, or a better budget, during the session, but now we're being held hostage by the Senate, and basically by one person in the Senate. We're turning our backs on our Kentucky citizens, our mentally ill, our children, our teachers, our state employees that are going to be really hurt by this budget, and therefore I have to vote no.
There's a lot of this budget that I don't like either, but I'm going to support it and I'm going to vote for it, because even though I don't like it, having a budget is having a budget, and people will be able to get on with it. And so therefore, I'm like all the rest of them. I wish that things could have worked out in a different way, but they didn't. And I'm a big boy, and I can accept it, and I'll get on with it. And we'll get through this.
And I voted yes because in my town here in Franklin County, state government is the heart and soul of our economy. And so not to vote for this budget and the reservations that the gentlelady from Jefferson has now brought to our attention, somewhere down the line, we are not acting in the constitutional way in which we're supposed to do. But for now, I have to vote for this budget because it is the lifeblood of this community. State government is the lifeblood of this community. But I want to apologize to the citizens of this district and all across this Commonwealth, because those who are in need are going to be the first who are going to receive the cuts. And those kids who are in the balconies today, who are here, and the kids that are sitting across this front of us who are our pages, they're the ones who are going to bear the brunt. So when we stand up and we talk about our Commonwealth and our great Commonwealth, our children are our greatest treasures. And today we're turning our backs on our children.
So the process is terrifically flawed. It's really dysfunctional. But more important, we are dysfunctional as people. We have to have some vision, ladies and gentlemen, for what we want Kentucky to be in the 21st century. And what we're doing is crafting a budget here, or voting on a budget here, that is the worst possible scenario. It's slash, slash, slash in every area. It's pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. So I cannot put my name to this budget, and as a protest vote, and to send a message that we can do better, that we must do better for the people, I vote no.
I appreciate, first of all, the gentleman from Jefferson 35's remarks. I only wish he'd have been here yesterday at the A&R committee meeting. He was absent, where we did the lion's share of the work. And he could have done his posturing there. He'd have had 2 whole days. So if he'd have been there, he could have been there with me. It was hot in there. We did a lot of work. In the morning and in the afternoon, we had our jackets off and our sleeves rolled up. We were working hard. Mr. Speaker, on the other item that has been brought up a couple of times about the public money for the private school, and I'm going to stand up for the gentleman from Breathitt because I believe that was an error on my part. The gentleman from Breathitt has publicly stated that it's his intentions to take that appropriation out of the bill. I knew that. He knew that. And I believe it was an error on my part and not an intentional act on his part. So I want to stand up for the gentleman from Breathitt and say if there's any finger to point, it could be pointed at me. He's indicated that when the budget goes to the Senate, I ask him not to file an amendment to suspend the rules today, and as the budget goes to the Senate, he's already spoken to his Senate member to make that correction. I expressed that to the reporter who interviewed me yesterday. They had that information as well. With that, Mr. Speaker, I vote aye.